So, in the first two videos, we discussed the beginnings of an awakening, and there are definitely different stages that happen. There are also different paths that one can take during that awakening that will really determine how awake you really are and what that actually means to you. So, the first stage, of course, is awakened. You have been awakened to something not being quite right. And that could come through any means within your life. It usually happens with some type of suffering that you can no longer tolerate, an opening or a crack of light or a crack within you that allows the light of consciousness to come in and stir you to understanding that something's just not right. Then you start awakening, which means that you aren't fully seeing everything clearly as of yet, but you do understand that things are distorted, that life has been an illusion. You may end up at this point getting caught up in the problems that exist outside of you. That is definitely something that happens to a lot of people during this process. But if you stay the course and you recognize at some point that there is a vast amount of energy, experience, and situations within your life that you understand need to be healed because of what it is that you see out in the world. Well, now you understand that you are awake. And being awake means that you need to go within and heal those parts of yourself. Now, you're not at this point fully awake, but now that you are awake, this comes the point where you are going to face the shadow. And the shadow is the ego, the parts of us that we have kept hidden, not from just the world, but especially from ourselves. It is the unconscious part of us that we have operated with in this life and in many lives. And now that that light of consciousness has come in for us, we recognize that there are parts of us that we need to heal, that we need to be brutally honest about, that have been part of the contribution to why it is that we have been unable to lead a life fulfilled, peace, calm, and joy. And that somehow, even unconsciously, we played a part in why the world is where it is. And so that period of time can look very different for everybody. But what is important to note is that it is an absolutely necessary part to go through. It is a refining period, an alchemizing period. It is necessary to let go of the ego that keeps us solidified with the parts of ourself that we believe is who we are. That could be attachments to labels, attachments to stories, attachments to situations that have happened within our lives that we feel justified carrying the weight of our entire life. It's time to put that down. It's time to recognize that within you exists an essence of power, a deeper essence of who it is that you really are, that is not anything that you are attached to in this life. And that is a period of time that people have the most difficulty with. Because a lot of times people don't understand what it is that they're being asked to look at. And so that period of darkness, or what we also call the dark night of the soul, can continue for a length of time without us knowing why we are where we are. What is it that I am supposed to be looking at it? What is it that I am being shown? So it's really important to practice presence within this period that you're going to go through. It doesn't mean that you're going to automatically feel better. You won't. But what you are being asked to do is accept where it is that you are at. The more you come to a place of acceptance for whatever it is that you are feeling, the more you are inviting openness to be shown something. If you refuse to look at it by trying to think that it's something else that's happening to you other than what is really happening to you, then whatever it is that you are going through is just going to continue and continue time after time until you understand that this is part of the refining process of letting go. And when you finally are shown something, because the light of consciousness has come in and exposed something, you are going to have one of the biggest aha moments of your life. And in that moment that you recognize, in that moment that you accept whatever it is that the light is showing you, boom, it will be healed. And now you can move on feeling like you have let go of one more thing that was weighing you down and keeping you from living your highest life. So this is an absolutely necessary step in the process of being awake. And in fact, there are many people who feel that they can just skip this part. They feel that if they're a little bit more positive, if they try to have a better outlook, that if they, try to skim over negativity, that somehow they can really just not have to take part in this refining process. That is spiritual bypassing. And spiritual bypassing means that you really haven't healed, that all you're doing is coating over top of it with a thin layer of something that eventually is going to dissipate and expose what needs to come to the surface. So really what you're doing at this point is prolonging what really needs to happen. You can't expect that healing is going to take place by denying the parts of you that need to be looked at. And most people don't want to uncover or open up Pandora's box, but we have to. We have to step into the darkness and really accept whatever it is that we are being shown within the time that it's going to be shown. This is something that's really important. And this is the path to being fully awake. Being fully awake means that we are the embodiment of absolute consciousness. And why is that so important? Well, absolute consciousness means that we understand how our actions and our motives moving forward not only just have an effect on our own life, but have an effect on life itself. And we take full responsibility because the light doesn't stop shining on the things that need to be exposed. See, before you were doing things unconsciously, meaning you really didn't have the ability to see how your actions could really affect not only your life, but the lives of other, karma, for instance. And now you understand what cause and effect is all about. Now you take the time to take the step back and become the observer. Because at this point, the ego will continue to try to reassert itself in your life, even if you are fully awake. It's never just going to go away. It is the part of us that is still dark. We are equal parts of light just as much as we are equal parts of dark. The difference is the balance that we find ourselves within both of those elements, meaning that when the darkness does come up, are we unconscious enough to be pulled fully back into that again, where the ego can reassert itself? And the ego will try to do that in many, many different ways. So if you are fully awake, it means that that light that you hold, that flashlight, is never turned off. There is no such thing as living fully in the dark. You are now exposing everything for what it is, which means that you are making choices from a state now of consciousness because you accept the responsibilities for your actions. And once you get to that point, your job now is to stay awake. And you stay awake by never turning off that light, by being brutally honest with yourself, by taking responsibility for your words and your actions and how they have an effect on those around you and the world itself. So there you go. There are the 5 different stages of the awakening. And I would love to hear from each and every one of you where you are and what your experience has been through this process. Much love and light.